What is every good Superman story really about? From Man of Tomorrow to American Alien to All-Star Superman, fundamentally, it's about a guy trying to do the right thing, trying to be a good person, trying to inspire hope that maybe tomorrow can, in fact, be better. What does Superman mean to you? He's a good man, living among normal people, but he's actively making the choice every day to use his gift to help humanity, not rule it. The Superman of the DCU needs to be an icon to fill us with hope, not just in his actions, but with his words. The way he speaks and jokes with people. He has to be humble with everyone. Superman is also an immigrant, a man of two worlds, trying to navigate heritage versus home. We open on a newscast. The anchor is talking about a strange phenomenon. A man is running around Metropolis saving people. She interviews a couple of different individuals. He's some freak like the Bat from Gotham. Nah, he's a government experiment. Has to be. Well, how do we even know he's a guy? As we pull out from this shot, we see Clark Kent sitting with a guy at a bar named Bilbo Babowski. Ah, he's a hero, you mooks. Well, how do you know he's a good guy? What, are you kidding me? Guy's so fast you can't even take a picture of him. And even if you do get close, he's got a helmet. He doesn't want credit. He's just helping people. Could be an alien. He's just trying to do the right thing. It doesn't feel like the city has gotten any better. Of course not. It's a never-ending battle. You can't drown the oceans, but you can keep swimming. Let me walk you home, Bilbo. Nah, I'm good, Kent. You go home. Bilbo is walking through the parking lot when a wannabe mugger shows up. Before anything can happen, a man in a blue and red costume with a helmet tackles the mugger. This is a proto-Superman suit. He also makes sure to not show his face. Stay safe, Mr. Babowski, as he flies off. Kent's never gonna believe this. Wait, he knows my name? Look, is it a dumb idea? Maybe. But I don't hate the idea of people not being able to tell Clark and Superman apart simply because they wear glasses and one of them slouches. It's kind of the concept of the idea that people only see what they want to believe. So Clark Kent and Superman are two different people, right? We get an aerial shot of Superman flying over the city, a beautiful, beautiful night sky. As we watch him fly and we see the title card, Clark answers a phone call from his parents. Nope, no mom, no one notices. I'm always gone on my lunch breaks. Yes, mom, I'm being safe. Yes, dad, yeah, I'm still eating. No, I didn't get the job at the Planet. I'm at the Town Crier. I don't know, some big shot supposedly by the name of Lois Lane got it. I'm okay. I love you guys. Cut to the next day with Clark sitting on top of a building eating a sandwich. As he chats with a guy, insert another explosion. Clark rushes in and there's chaos outside the Metropolis North Mall. The police and firefighters are scrambling, but when they see Superman touching down, they all get quiet. Almost as if the cavalry has arrived. How can I help? SWAT team leader steps up and yells, "We need to box this guy, set a perimeter, 1 block out, back out the media, now. Block every entrance, use your cars if you have to. Alpha team, we're making a clear entrance through the massive hole in the wall. Flying man, you're as strong as they say they are?" Oh, no one's as strong as they say they are. Screw it, you're with us. You go high, we go low. That guy comes at us, hold him off. Someone get this guy an earpiece. As the team breaches, we see the destruction going throughout the mall as we are still evacuating civilians. Superman is trying to reassure people, trying to be steady for them. He's looking around while saving civilians, but he can't find the threat just yet. Clark hears a person screaming for help under a big piece of rubble, but when he gets there and he lifts it, he's blasted through the roof and lands on a cop car. He shakes it off and races back in, more angry than hurt. It's now that we see the villain is Toyman, because we're saving Parasite for later. In the mech suit, running amok, blasting away at the SWAT team, Superman swoops in and moves the officers out of the line of fire as quickly as he can. He tells one of the SWAT team members, "Evacuate the area, I can fight him, but not if I have to worry about other people." With the SWAT officers grabbing people and pulling back as Clark and this mech begin to go toe-to-toe. Clark manages to damage the suit, but the Toyman yells, No, the core's unstable. It'll blow. No, that's terrible. Okay, I can do this again. You idiot! The core's unstable. It's gonna blow the whole damn suit. Clark rips Toyman out of the suit and flies sky high over the bay with the suit when it explodes, knocking him out and into the water. And it's at this point that we get a flashback. Jonathan, Martha, and Clark are in a truck during a storm, trying to get home. The truck flips and John is able to force the door open long enough to get Clark and Martha out, but then he gets pinned and trapped. Before he can drown, a then 2-year-old Clark, crying through tears, is able to flip the truck so his father can get out. John and Martha look at this little baby in the rain and then at each other in shock. And wake up. Clark wakes up and swims to shore. I need to visit home. We see Kent taking a bus back to Smallville as he gets picked up by Lana and Pete, his childhood best friends. With this part of the story, I want to show that while Clark is trying to learn how to be a superhero out in the real world, in Smallville, it's his home. It's his hometown. It's the one place where he can just be himself in every capacity, in every way. It's an open secret, but it's a secret that they're willing to keep because it's Clark. You know, if you can fly, why did you take the bus? I like the scenery. If I had powers, I'd be the worst alien ever. Clark's already the worst alien ever. Screw you guys. We see them drop off Clark at the Kent farm. His parents are happy to see him, and as he embraces, we see a home full of loving moments and memories and pictures from Halloween and prom dates. We see a kid's room full of books and fishing gear, aligned with pictures of Clark, Lana, and Pete from when they were kids. We then get another flashback back to a memory of a young Clark. He floats around a bit and is scared. Lana and Pete grab his hand and try to help him to the floor. They promise they won't tell anyone. They'll keep his secret. It's then in space that we see Sparks and a ship appear. It's Zod. His ship is pulling resources when they get an alert. They're near a scout ship. It's 2 ships, in fact, actually. An old scout ship and a pod. Too small for a person, but big enough maybe for a baby. Clark is then having dinner with his parents when an alert comes on the TV. A large object has been discovered in the Arctic. And at that same moment, Clark's ship turns on. Oh, I guess I'm going to the North Pole. Clark is remembering when he was trying to learn how to fly, how his dad used an old school crop plane to try and keep up with his son, trying to talk him through it, trying to help him through, teaching him how to fly. By the end of the day, when he learns, he's telling his mom and dad how maybe they can fly, maybe they can go on a vacation, and he can carry the car for them because he's strong and, maybe they can travel. He's cute. He's a kid. He has dreams. It's at this point that we're introduced to Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. Both are there to cover the discovery of the alien ship, but are being blocked off by the military. They sneak about the base, and that's when they notice a man out in the ice. Jimmy says, think he's lost? Jimmy, it's negative 11 degrees, and all he's wearing is a sweater. I don't think he's with the military. Metahuman? Maybe. Maybe he's the guy from Metropolis. But I thought that Winslow guy blew him up. They continue to follow Clark into the cave and through the system. Clark finds the ship and gets on. The ship says, "Welcome, Kryptonian." Clark is exploring the ship when an alert comes on. Do not fear, a non-Kryptonian intruder has been detected. Security measures have been engaged. Jimmy and Lois are attacked by a robot creature, but before it can kill them, Clark steps in, and during the scuffle, Jimmy takes pictures of everything. Clark manages to destroy the robot, and he asks, Are you two okay? Are you here as a scout for an invasion? What? No, I'm from here, I'm from Earth. Judging from that accent, I'd assume from a Sunbelt state, maybe? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to. That's when he notices Jimmy's camera, takes it, and smashes it in his hands. I am so sorry. Because cameras are fucking expensive. Now, Clark drops off Jimmy and Lois near the military base before flying the ship deeper into the Arctic, out of their range. Once there, a voice comes on the communication device. It's Zod. Clark asks him about Krypton and what it was like. Zod tells him the glory of Krypton, its people, and the tragedy of its destruction with a few survivors. Zod tells Clark that he and his soldiers barely managed to escape its destruction, and that he hopes, maybe with Clark's help, maybe they can rebuild a new world. Of course, yes, we the viewer know that Zod is a bad guy, but that's not the point. Part of the story is Clark learning about his heritage, wanting to embrace it. He just found out that there are other people like him, and he's happy. And it's going to be a hard lesson later when he has to reject it because of the fact that they're bad guys, they're villains. Just because they're of your blood does not make them good people. Because of this, Clark is hopeful. He just discovered his people, and that there are others like him, that he has a chance to be more than what he is. He can be a part of something bigger than him. So we get another flashback similar to what happened in Man of Steel when Clark's powers are beginning to go crazy and his mom is talking him down at the school. We see again Pete and Lana are near him, but he's just freaking out. His mom is the only one that can really talk him down. He's having a sensory overload. He's trying to control his x-ray vision, the sounds, everything. He's trying to breathe. Clark flies home to talk to his parents, and along the way we see Jimmy and Lois tracking Clark. Some of that old school investigative journalism, tracing him backwards towards Smallville. Clark arrives home and tells his parents, "I know who I am," and he tells them everything about the ship in the Arctic, about Zod, about Krypton, and that there are others like him and that they need a new home. His parents express they're happy for him, but then we see his mother start to worry. Clark says, "Look, just because I know where I'm from doesn't change who I am. I'm still your son." Clark's mom says, "I know, I was always worried that the government would come and take you, and now I'm just worried again. You're my world, Clark." And they embrace. Clark goes out to eat with Pete and Lana, his best friends, and everyone knows him in the town. At one point, outside the bar, someone asks, "Hey Clark, do you mind? I have a flat tire." All four of them look around for a moment. Clark lifts the truck easily and is changing the tire. No effort whatsoever. And they're having a very casual conversation. "So, how's your mom and dad?" "Good. Dad's fixing to retire next year." "Betty?" "Ah, she's pregnant again. Kid number 4 on the way." "Oh, congratulations." And this is that little slice of life stuff that I really enjoy. In the bar, we see a buck on the wall and we get another flashback. This time, Clark is out hunting with his dad and a few other guys. Clark aims at a deer, but misses the shot. "Man, Clark, you can't shoot to save your life. It's a good thing you're bulletproof." As Pete walks off with his dad. Jonathan says, "Clark, you and I both know you can hit a can from 200 yards away. What's going on?" And Clark says, "I just didn't want to shoot the deer." "But why? He's just a deer. He's not a person." "Am I?" Jonathan pauses for a moment and says, "Okay, I can respect that. Come on, I think your mom packed us some sandwiches for the road." And these little moments also, I want to build Clark's relationship with both his parents. His mom loving and caring for him, and his dad trying to be some degree of a moral compass while also trying to be good for his son. You know, I want these bonding experiences. I want to build his relationship with his mother and his father, along with other characters. Clark is back home going over his pod with his dad when he finds a crystal in it. He asks his dad if he knows what it is, but he has no idea. Clark takes it back to the fortress. We find out that it's a key that unlocks an AI that's basically his father. Clark asks about his heritage, about his people, about, all the questions he had. Why didn't they come with him? Zor-El says he wanted to, but if the ship was any bigger, it wouldn't have made it through the atmosphere without detection. Either we all die together, or we hope for the best for you, to sending you to a new world. I am all that remains of your father, I suppose. Did you grow up well? Clark thinks back to his memories. I grew up in a loving home. I'm glad. And that's when Clark mentions Zod is on his way, actually. I think he wants my help to try and rebuild Krypton. And that's when the computer interrupts him. Zod. He's dangerous, an extremist. He tried to overthrow the government of Krypton. Because of him, it cost us time, and because of him, you could say, he's one of the reasons why our planet was destroyed. We were so busy fighting amongst ourselves, we didn't deal with the real threat. It's at this moment that Clark says, Zod is on his way, what do I do? And Jor-El tells him, you may have to do battle. You may have to protect your new home. Meanwhile, we see Zod's ship beginning to get near Earth. This causes the scout ship's alarms to be raised. Zor-El says, Zod is nowhere nearby. He's near your pod. And Clark just stops for a moment and whispers, no. Clark races off as fast as he can before Jor-El can tell him anything else. We see Zod on the Kent farm in his spacesuit, kind of like from Man of Steel. They want to see the birthing pod, but when Jonathan tries to settle them down, Zod grabs him by the throat. You think you can order me around? Martha shoots Zod point blank with a gun, but it does nothing but annoy him. Before Zod can raise his hand to her, Clark tackles him, yelling at his parents to run. It's Clark versus Zod on the Kent farm. Clark damages the suit and Zod is overloaded by his senses, much in the way Clark was when he was a kid. Clark is able to get him down, but before he can do any more damage, two more of Zod's people show up, Faora and Namek. This battle quickly spirals out of control into Smallville, with Clark yelling at people to run for cover while he tries to keep the damage to a minimum. Also, you'll notice at this point Clark isn't in his Metropolis suit. He's just in, let's say, gray sweatpants and a hoodie, I guess. He doesn't have the iconic gear just yet. As the battle continues, Lois and Jimmy arrive in Smallville along with the military showing up due to this massive battle. The military are hopelessly outgunned, but when Namek knocks one of the helicopters down out of the sky, Clark catches it before anyone can get injured, asking everyone, "Are you okay?" before going back into battle. Multiple people in Smallville try to help by shooting at Namek and hitting Faora with a car, but it has zero effect other than pissing them off. Clark fights both of them, damaging multiple parts of the city until he damages their suits just enough, causing them to get overloaded, much like Zod, and they retreat, while Clark is still trying to save people from damage. In the aftermath, Clark looks around guilty from the destruction he accidentally brought to his home. While people are trying to recover and help one another, some go so far as to reject Clark's offer to help. Haven't you caused enough damage? And I like the idea that after this town, while still keeping his secret, are pissed with him over what happened to some degree. Not everyone is angry with him, but this does change the way they look at him. He needs to try and be better. The one place where he could rest and really call his home, well, it's not that anymore, is it? Lois and Jimmy show up amongst all the damage and track down Clark, but he goes to them. He talks to them at his house. Clark comes clean about a lot of things, and we get one more flashback. Clark tells Lois about the bus story, about him saving the kids. His parents were worried about him being taken away, but the town seemingly agreed in a moment to never come out and talk about Clark. How he saved the school kids, they owed him that. Lois and Jimmy go back to Metropolis and kill the story, with Perry yelling at them, "You were in the middle of a war zone and you couldn't get a single picture or a quote?" Well, small towns always harbor old secrets, right? Clark is still trying to help rebuild when Zod calls upon the planet in a transmission. "You have a Kryptonian. He lives amongst you. Bring him to us or we will destroy your world one building at a time." Clark asks his father for his input. Pa Kent says, "I think it's time for you to stand proud, but ultimately, it's up to you. No matter what, me and your mother will love you and support you." Clark goes to the Arctic to tell his AI father he's made a choice. Clark has decided to go with Zod, but his father gives him his armor, his Superman suit. "If you are going to show the world your heritage, you should wear the symbol of your house. It's a blue and red suit with a yellow middle. Why the red and blue? They are the royal colors of your house. And the yellow? The sun gives you your power, your gifts. It's only right that you wear it proud." Meanwhile, Lois and Jimmy are arrested by the military. They refuse to give up the identity of the alien, but Clark shows up and says he will go willingly if they release Lois and Jimmy. Once with Zod, Clark is stabbed with a Kryptonian weapon, a knife made of kryptonite. As he begins to bleed on the floor, the knife is put away in a lead box with the other Kryptonians standing above him. They need Clark's blood. Only Jor-El's DNA can unlock the terraformers. Once they terraform the planet for the Kryptonians, they'll begin to experiment on the strong humans that survive, and morph their DNA to be similar to Kryptonians. Many will die, but the few that live will be stronger and worthy. We will return to the old ways. Might is always right. They'll start with the new capital of Krypton, Metropolis. Clark's AI dad helps him escape the ship and tells him, if you destabilize the terraformers, they'll flash out and transport themselves to the Phantom Zone. How do I destabilize them? You're gonna have to hit them really hard. At this point in the story, it should be clear his allegiance is to Earth, and he will defend it, whatever it takes. Once back on Earth, Clark talks to the military leaders and how they will split responsibilities. The military will try to run interference and take down the ships while Clark goes after the terraformers. Each one he takes down will also take out another one of Zod's soldiers. And this is when we get the crazy huge action sequence with Clark able to punch his way through the terraformers, thus saving the Earth and sending a lot of Kryptonians back into the Phantom Zone. But Zod was not with his soldiers. He was still in his ship, hovering above the city, watching everything. Zod goes down to tell Clark he's ruined everything. Now they can't transform the Earth. With the other Kryptonians lost in the Phantom Zone, there's no way to find or locate them. You've doomed Krypton. Krypton had its chance. And we get a fist fight. Zod versus Superman. Zod is winning when the military tries to help, but nope. Another helicopter is taken down, and in a flash, Jimmy and Lois are about to crash. As Zod is punching down at Superman, he blinks out for just a moment, everything flashing before him. When he screams, opens his eyes, and hits Zod with the laser vision. Getting Zod off him, he's able to speed over and grab the helicopter to save Jimmy and Lois' life. He goes back to battle Zod. As they crash through the city, causing minimum damage, Clark is doing his best to keep the damage to a minimum. He tackles Zod into the ship, and in just a split second, he's able to plug his father into the ship, the little AI chip, and the ship is sent into the Phantom Zone. Clark and Zod fight within the ship, but their powers are being drained very quickly. There's no yellow sun. They're somewhere that doesn't exist. Their powers are drained, and this becomes a bare-knuckle brawl. At one point, Zod has one of the kryptonite knives, but Superman is already at human levels of strength. Clark is able to get a hold of the knife as Zod hangs from the ship's platform. Is this the part where Jor-El's little boy becomes a man and kills me? Clark looks down at him and says, I don't have to kill you. I just have to take you off the board. He kicks Zod off the ship, and the ship is transported back to Metropolis as Zod is left floating in the Phantom Zone, yelling. Clark is exhausted and injured, but he steps into the sunlight, quickly rejuvenating himself. Jor-El then flies the ship back into the Arctic, deeper, creating a fortress for Clark, a fortress of solitude. In the aftermath, the world learns that aliens are real, and there's a new place, a new organization established. Various world leaders give their take on how they will endorse or hate metahumans. Star Labs expands, and we see an appearance of Amanda Waller for a moment. Superman never wanted to kill anyone. He just wants to save everyone. We then see that Clark got a job as a beat reporter for the Daily Planet, and he'll be working alongside Lois, who does know his identity, along with Jimmy. In the ending scene, Clark is walking to a diner with Lois and Jimmy when we hear about a robbery in progress. He says, I'll catch up with you guys later, as he runs into an alley, opens his gear, and goes after the robbers. And yeah, that's our version of Superman. He actively endorses and rejects his heritage at the same time, the bad parts where people have to die. We're establishing his relationships with his supporting cast as he tries to become a hero in this new world. So I know what you're wondering. What are the after credit scenes? Well, there's two of them. The first scene is a guy watching the news. Aliens are real. As he's watching this, all he does is mutter to himself, perhaps, finally, a worthy opponent. We never see his face. The second scene is Clark at the Daily Planet typing. Perry comes up to him and says, Clark, got an exclusive. Special request to do a profile piece. Clark asks, who requested me? And Perry says, Bruce Wayne. And that's your second after credit scene, folks. So I hope you enjoyed that weird kind of hybrid story of Man of Steel and American Alien. That was step 2. Next time we have a team up. It's not Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice, but instead, the world's finest. We'll see you next time. See you, everybody. Oh, also real quick, thank you for all the support that the Batman DCU video had. 5,000 views in a weekend is nuts, and yeah, thank you for all that.